Welcome to the Purposeful MD podcast. As a physician, you've sacrificed so much of your life for other people, your patients, your family, your friends, and your colleagues. What would it feel like to spend time doing what you enjoy and to live without guilt? I'm your host, Dr. Laura Sutton, a family physician, certified coach, and business owner. If you're a medical professional on a journey towards your most purposeful life, a life with more time and energy, and ultimately more joy, then this is the podcast for you. Welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have my guest today, Dr. Dawn Sears. We've been trying to make this work for a while and just really excited to see you and talk to you, Dawn. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Laura. I've been so excited to watch your journey, be part of it, cheerlead with you, collaborate with you, and we've been trying to get together. So I'm so glad we finally made it happen. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for being a part of it, for really just cheerleading is perfect. I mean, um, you've been there for me when I needed it in those moments. So thank you.
Sure. This is kind of what it's all about, is that we're all in it together and we remind each other how amazing we are and how much we've done and how much we can do. So I
Yeah.
love it. And I love everything that you're doing with being purposeful as being a purposeful MD.
Thank you. Well, let me read your bio. I want to give you all the kudos and then we'll dive in. So,
Okay.
Dr. Dawn Sears is a professor and practicing board certified gastroenterologist, hepatologist who has focused much of her career and research on the well being of her colleagues. She spearheaded the Women Leaders in Medicine, serving over 300 women physicians and moving the needles of engagement, retention, and burnout. She's received multiple grants and awards for her work, including AMA, AMWA, TMA, and Physicians Foundation. She hosts women physician empowerment conferences, ACE and Emerge, where we've connected. As an
Mhm.
ICF certified executive coach, she works regularly with both private and institutionally based physicians. Her goal is to stop the hemorrhaging of women physicians from healthcare. She has served as chief of well-being, been program director, sat on boards, and lead as chief of gastroenterology in multiple institutions. She proudly serves at Veterans Administration Gastroenterology Division in North Texas and clinical professor at UT Southwestern as an instructor, gastroenterologist, and coach. And just scrubbed out of a procedure, which is why if you're watching us on YouTube, which is why you're in your car. And so that is just a testament to your commitment to taking care of patients, whether that's at the bedside or as a coach and as a woman physician leader. So thank you for everything that you do.
Sure. Thank you. And sometimes it gets overwhelming, and I think it's a good practice for us to just pull out your CV or bio every once in a while when you're feeling low and having imposter syndrome, or should I take this talk? And then you go, oh, wait, no, of course I should. Of course I'm qualified. Of course I'm the
Yeah.
expert. So thanks for reminding me, because sometimes we feel a little overwhelmed, like, am I doing the right thing? And then you go, oh, yeah, I am. So
Yes,
thank you.
you are. And you've reminded me that on several different points in my journey. I think the conferences that you've hosted here in San Antonio, Emerge and then ACE, both of them, I'm sure you planned it this way to be at really pivotal points in my career, my life. But they
Absolutely.
both really were, um, and just your smile and your friendship and you're sitting down with me and saying, "Real, how are you really? How's this going?" Have just been so impactful for me. So I just, again, just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Oh, thank you, darling. It is so important for us to have authentic friends who really have our back and will really say, no, really, how are you? Or why are you doing that? Really, why are you doing that? Like, is now the right time? So
Yeah.
to cheer us up as well as to call us out of maybe you don't need to do that right now. So I love that we have built this amazing community where we can do that for each other
Yes.
and really be there. So thank you for reminding me of
Yeah.
that.
Yes. All right. So tell us, how did you get to where you are this day? How did your leadership coaching, your journey, tell us everything about what brought you to this point?
The big thing was just being a servant leader, just looking for opportunities where I was of the things that weren't there, and knowing that I wanted that, but I wasn't going to sit around and complain about it. So at my institution, we had way too many soda machines, and I was like, what is the deal? All I talk to all my patients about is soda, whether they're coming to see me with reflux or fatty liver or constipation or whatever. And so I knew I needed to get the soda machines out, but I needed to do it in a way that leaders would care. So I got together this group of 10 of our leaders, like the chief of the pediatrics, the chief of surgery, the CEO, CMO, all the things. And I said, hey, love you guys. Y'all are working really hard, but I need you to work hard for another 20 years. I need you not to die. Let's get together as a well-being group. And you don't have a meeting. You don't have a patient at 5:30 in the morning. So we're going to get together and work out, and we're all going to run a half marathon together. I had never run a half marathon.
Oh,
And these
goodness.
people were like, what? Who are you? And I'm like, I'm your fruit fairy. I'm the director of well-being, and I need you on board. And so we delivered fruit baskets to them at the beginning of every month. We had them get together with their family or their a partner at least once a month. We had them journal, and we had them work out. And if they didn't work out, they had to put $10 in the kitty. And the CEO and the chief of surgery, whatever, they do not want to give up 10 bucks. And it's their pride, and they're not going to let that happen. So anyway, at the end of a year, we had lost 300 pounds. We lost a gallbladder. We had lost a knee, and we all ran a half marathon together, most of us. So by the end, they got it. So the two new hospitals that were built the following year, guess who didn't have fryers and who didn't have soda machines, because they got it. So once you see what needs to happen, you find a way to make someone care about it, and then they got it. And then I saw that as the leader in gastroenterology, I was the chief. And being a female gastroenterologist in the Deep South, it was pretty unusual 20 years ago when I started. Now there's more of us, now we're at 16 to 20%, but back then we were less than 8%. So anyway, I was leading the division, leading the fellows, all the things, but my institution was hiring a new pulmonologist. She's a woman, will you mentor her? New dermatologist, she's a woman, will you mentor? New pediatric podiatrist, she's a woman, will you mentor? I'm like, what is happening? There's all these other women. Why am I the only one? So I got together a group of women together in a boardroom and said, you're the angry, surgeon, you're the sweet pathologist, you're the fun pediatrician. Let's get 10 of us together, pick a date on the calendar, make it happen. Let's just gather. And we gathered, and everybody loved it. Everybody was like, oh my gosh. So we filled up. We only planned on having about 30 to 50 people there. I got called when we had 80 people signed up and said, where are we capping it? I was like, holy cow. So we capped it at 100. I wrote a grant. We got $150,000 from the Physicians Foundation. And then we just published this work. Finally, this was back in 2017. But because of COVID, we had collected all the data just as COVID hit. We finally got it published in PLOS One, and it shows that when you get women in a room where it's safe and they can share their thoughts and ideas, that they feel seen, they feel heard, and it improves their life. So their burnout went down, their retention went down, their engagement went up, and their intention to stay went up. And every conference, which we put together conferences every 6 months when we did it, there was always one or two in the back of the room weeping, saying, now I can do this. I don't need to quit. I don't need to leave. I now have a sisterhood. I now have a tribe. I have people like we were talking about at the beginning of the call who see me, who acknowledge what I'm doing is hard and it's okay. And also tell me I don't have to do everything, but I can prioritize. So that's how I am. And then I had to leave my institution for various things. Second, when I got the second vaccines, the day I resigned, because I led through COVID and doing aerosolizing procedures. It, it it showed me how much I was valued or not valued by the institution. And I knew I couldn't stay at that point. And through coaching and through counseling and through taking 3 months off as a sabbatical, 100 days without working, I figured out it's not my job's job to make me happy. It never was, and it never will be. And it's not my job's job to keep me safe. That's me. My job's job is to do two things: provide me patients and provide me a paycheck. And it's doing that. And there's no perfect job out there. So I've learned a lot in my journey in the last 5 years. And now I can't keep it to myself. So I do executive coaching, and I coach a lot of women physicians. So I empower them to gain control over their careers.
I want to dive into all of that, everything you just said. Thank you for sharing. I knew a little bit about your story, and I know we've met several times. I did not know it started with soda machines. I think that's It's fascinating and it's but it's true. I mean, the soda machine is a reflection, right, of how are we taking care of ourselves? It's so interesting. Like, what do hospitals have in their cafeterias or in their buildings are like McDonald's and Wendy's and Whataburgers in Texas, right? And so,
Yes.
yes, like, what's the message that we're sending? So I love that you did that and that it sounds like you had some pretty good uptake. I mean, people were either gonna cough up the money or get kind of
Oh yeah.
start working out.
And it wasn't always received well. I mean, the chief of pediatrics, he nearly crawled across the table and said, "I have never run. I don't run. Who do you think you are?" And I was like, "Whoa, down, John, down." I was like, "Just get on a bike and just ride a bike with us." Well, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, he was the grumpiest, most untrustworthy. Everybody else knew me. He was new. He's the only one who didn't know my reputation over the last 10 years. And anyway, fast forward 5 years later, he was still running half marathons and full marathons with himself and his friends and his kids. And I'm like,
Wow.
woo! So he actually stuck with it for another 10 years after the program. And so you never know. When you get resistance, that may be your biggest one who's going to be your advocate. If you just continue
Um,
to persist with love and you're doing it, you're serving in a way that is not about you, not about your ego, not about what's going to get for me, but truly supporting, hey, John, I want you to be healthy. And the children's hospital needs you to be healthy. And he was so excited 8 months later to call me and say, guess what? We redesigned the kitchens. We removed all the fryers. It took twice the real estate and it's going to be twice as long to make those chicken nuggets, but we're doing it in ovens because you taught me so much. And I'm like, yes.
wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean,
So we can all have influence. Just build what you need. Just influence where you need to influence. We're all leaders. It's just a matter of sharing our knowledge, sharing our wisdom, sharing our ideas in a way that empowers others and makes them the hero, not
yeah.
you.
And that's what you've done with and I want to definitely hear more about the study and then the one that you're also mentioning that's hot off the press that you've mentioned before we hit record about the Women Leaders in Medicine development program and coaching. That again, you saw, so okay, took the soda machines and the fryers out of the cafeteria, you're like, check.
Yeah.
Um, moving on to seeing a gap in the female leadership in your specialty and in your organization, and
Yes.
that you're being asked to mentor all these women,
Yes.
and seeing opportunities of how can these women support each other? How can we all come together? And that's
Yeah.
just something that I really appreciate about you is you see the different gifts that people have and you bring people together to capitalize on those strengths so that we're not operating either literally or figuratively in a vacuum, that we're all benefiting from each other's wisdom and each other's gifts.
Absolutely. And it's so fun to be able to let women know, no, you don't need a certificate. You don't need more initials after your name to do the thing. And that's why so many were holding back. Like, but you're the chief, but you were the program director, and I'm like, no. Go through this little program and I'll stamp all of your heads. Have you gone to gross anatomy? Okay, you're already more qualified than 98% of humans on this planet. I don't care if you've ever led a meeting or even done a PowerPoint presentation. So just reminding each other that we were amazing and that there was a need, that we needed to have more mentors and, more importantly, more sponsors and more advocates. So once everyone went through the program and I asked them point blank, who are you mentoring now and who is your mentor? They're like, oh, I'm like, yeah, all of you should be mentoring at least 6 people right now, and all of you have mentors. And then they took the ball and ran, and then we ended up with, it's been a traditionally monochromatic board of directors. Well, after that, we ended up with 3 women on the board of directors, and everybody was going up for chief and chair, and all these things, and everybody was stepping up to the plate, saying, "Well, y'all have modeled it that we can do this." And
Yeah.
so the same thing for what we've done in ACE and Emerge. And many of us have gone off to start our own businesses like you through it all, and to say, yes, I can do it. You can do it too. And we just give each other permission,
Yes.
just like the men have been doing on golf courses for centuries. And then sometimes we have to do it in a meeting room at a resort. And that's a beautiful thing. Or podcasts or through virtual meetings. The biggest gift of COVID has been all these friends across the nation and across the world that I have accumulated, that I get to know, that I know I could call somebody in Australia at 4 in the morning if I just need somebody to get into my brain and stop some toxic thought I'm having or something like that, just because we've built so many of these authentic communities. So I'm grateful for all these virtual connections because they're real, real, real
Yeah.
connections.
Yeah, they really truly are. And like you said, giving ourselves that space and that permission, like I just wonder, I hear this so often from females, and I still fall into the trap too. I had a client recently who is a neurologist, and she was talking about conversations with patients in which she's talking with them about like her role in their care when they're seeing so many other specialists. And the phrase that came out of her mouth was, "I'm only a neurologist." And I stopped her and I said, "Wait a second. You just said I'm only a neurologist." I said, you're literally a brain specialist. Like, do you hear what you just said?" And so where do you think that voice comes from?
Oh, yeah.
How do we get that in our heads?
Well, many of us, as I talk to many of us powerful women that are also coaches and have learned so much, many of us have the same story. And you and I haven't spoken about this, so I don't know if this is part of your story. But many of us grew up in critical homes or critical environments where it wasn't good enough. What have you done for me lately? Or a little bit of jealousy, possibly from other generations instead of support and encouragement. And so the prove it again. Are you sure? Are you too big for your britches? That is a common story of so many of us. And so I
Yeah.
think that's where a lot of it comes from is some early childhood voices of, oh, you ain't all that. Oh, you don't know how hard it's going to get. Instead of, wow, that was amazing. Let's keep it going. And of course the pendulum swung and we see the result of that too.
Right.
But there is a healthy balance. But that's my observation is many of us have the same story.
Yeah, I think a lot of mine came from my training. I mean,
Oh yeah.
and so I'm curious from your perspective because you're in the medical training environment, and I've been out of that for so long. Do you see the training environment shifting?
We do. As a matter of fact, I just got back from the Joy and Wholeness Summit that it was in North Carolina this weekend. And that was one of the things we talked about because some of the keynote speakers have been doing the same keynote for 10 years, all about burnout. They're like, I'm so sick of giving this talk about burnout. But in reality, we have this term that we all knew in medicine called pimping, where you ask the question again and again and again until it's so hard that you've humbled them. Now
Mm,
there's shame. Now there's
right.
remorse. And now you scared them into studying harder so that they don't get embarrassed again. And of course, we have shined a light on that. And now we call it what it is, which is called bullying. And that we're not tolerating workplace bullying like we did in the training environments in the past that I was certainly a part of. So now it's the exception. It's still, of course, it's going to always happen, but now people are not getting away with it like they used to,
Mhm.
and we're able to call it out. So it is improved because it's no longer socially acceptable. Again, some are still getting away with it, but everybody goes, "Hey, Joe, you know you're going to get busted for doing that.
Mhm.
Don't do that anymore." So I'm glad to see that. And as someone who is still involved with education and gets to train fellows every single day, I can tell you that we talk about their well-being, we talk about their sleep, we are on suicide watch for everybody. We are talking about mental health. We are talking about all these things that would have never, I miscarried at work and still scoped patients for the day. I mean, that was the environment I was in. And I worked up until the day of delivery of all three of my kids. It was horrible. And I got off 4 weeks for my maternity leave for each of them. You know, um, so it was a different environment where that's not going to happen anymore. That's not going to be tolerated anymore. Now we're allowed to be human with needs. So it's good. It's better.
Yeah. I'm so sorry that you experienced that. And that makes my heart hurt for you, and also glad to hear that that's not going on anymore because that's inhumane.
Yeah, yeah. There's no way. It's very different now. Very different
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. I yeah, I mean it was a badge of honor to not sleep, right? I mean, if we you kind of how little sleep did you get? How much studying did you get done? How many patients did you admit? I mean, no way I would have ever asked to use the restroom during a case or go eat. I mean, even if I was passing out, like, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, never again, never again. We're changing things. We're not gonna tell people that they're robots because it's not
yeah,
true, and you're
yeah,
setting them up for failure. We're gonna let them know this is the real world, and the fellas all know. I'm gonna ask, did you eat? No, I don't want to hear about the afternoon patients. Go get some food in your mouth. Go pee, and I'll see you back in my office in 15 minutes.
yeah,
Just whatever it takes, go get some food. And if you
yeah,
don't have food, here's some. Because I always have, the running joke is you open up my cabinet and it's an avalanche of food. So there are snacks. So I will get you plenty of snacks to throw in your pocket if we need to
yeah,
eat it and run. And we're gastroenterologists for heaven's sake. We love to eat.
yeah, yeah. I mean, but it's crazy that to think about that it took us this long to get to this point, right? That we realize
Yeah,
that we're not robots and we're human. So,
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. So one of the studies that came out in this last week that I'm super excited
Yes, I
about
want to hear
is
about this.
in the Journal of General Internal Medicine, and so it's the first randomized control study that I've seen. And of course, as an internist, we get all nerdy about randomized controls trials. So it was looking at coaching for staff attendings in internal medicine, and it was randomized to one-on-one executive coaching, which we do, as well as cohort coaching, which is actually what I love, versus control group. And so, no surprise to us, we saw that cohort coaching improved burnout and the intention to stay and was more cost effective. Well, no kidding, right? So, I love it because it builds community, and we are thriving when we have community, and we're dying when we're lonely. And we're seeing so much in the literature about loneliness and the hypertension and early mortality and dementia and cancers. So I want to do all that I can to continue to build communities. So I'm excited to see more evidence of the power of cohort coaching.
Yes. I mean, what how much more can we shout it from the rooftops? And I'm going to look for that article and share it too. I think it's great that institutions and organizations are starting to see that coaching isn't just a nice to have. It's not just like a wellness initiative. There's hard dollars and ROI tied to physicians getting coached. They are more likely to stay. They're less likely to commit errors. The patient outcomes are better. Every financial and clinical outcome that healthcare organizations track is impacted in a positive way when physicians get coached. I mean, if our professional athletes are getting, how many performance coaches are they having? Why do
Right,
our physicians not get coached? So I love
right.
that.
Right, right. So yeah, so I just want to continue to highlight that for everyone. And then I've got the Kevin MD article, Why Are Women Leaving Healthcare for because of gaslighting? As a female gastroenterologist, I attract more female patients. Well, female patients have longer colons. So the amount of colons I can do in a day is going to be less than my friend Bob, who has 80% men. We also get paid by the number of polyps we remove. Guess who grows more polyps? The boys. So Bob does half the number of scopes, but he gets paid 4 times the amount. And then I do half the volume and I don't remove as many. So people will claim women get paid less because they're not willing to work as hard. Really? So that's just some of the data. And of course, I
Yeah.
know that everybody has seen that women in the same exact practice versus men get 26% more messages from our own staff. Did you really want that CAT scan? When do you want to see Miss Jones back? I know you said 3 months, but did you really mean that? Versus the men get 26% or yeah, get less. And then messages from patients, we get 24% more from patients in the same exact practice. So basically, we're doing 25% extra work. And then there was a study in the last 2 weeks that came out about the amount of time that we spend in the portal. Shocker is 20% more than our male colleagues in the exact same because of these exact things of who's initiating the contact. It's not
Right.
us just trying to have conversations all night long. It's people thinking that we're more available. We have more access, and we have more time. But if it's a male doctor that's like, oh, he's busy,
Right.
we're not busy. We just don't care. Oh, she must not care because she didn't respond within 3 days because she was on vacation. And how dare her do that? So that's one of the things that you and I coach on a lot is it's
Yeah.
okay to leave your computer at home. It's okay to trust your team and not check that portal. And I double dog dare you to give it a try. And when you come back, it will not take you 2 weeks to dig out. It'll be
Yeah.
fine. Trust your team. Train your patients to trust your team too. You'll be happier, your patients will be happier. It's like having your kid, load the dishwasher. Yeah, it's not perfect, but it's going to get done. And that's how your
Mhm.
kid's going to learn. And it's okay to do that with our patients and our team too. Yeah, they're not going to do it the way you would have, but now you get to enjoy your vacation, actually be present for your friends and family. And that would been the most fun when I've been collecting the data on the international coaching I do with Scrubs and Heels, GI across internationally, is the question that makes me cry every time on stage is not only are you burnt out and do you intend to stay at your job and are you callous toward patients, but the one that really gets me is are you present with your friends and family when you're not at work, when you're at home? And before the program, it's at 25%. After working with them for 9 months, it's at 75%. And it's all through cohort coaching of getting them to understand boundaries, permission slips. You're not alone. You're doing nothing wrong. You can break up with perfection. All these things that you and I talk about all the time. But I just know we're saving marriages. We're saving counseling. We're saving suicide. We're saving alcohol abuse. We're saving buffering of horrible, behaviors or habits. So anyway, that I just want to put in a plug for the amazing impact that we see that isn't always captured in the current data that's out there. But we're publishing it here and there for Scrubs and Heels. But I encourage all the coaches and all those data miners out there to ask about the presence, because at the end of the day, that's what really matters.
And the impact on the kids too, for the physicians that have children or involved in caregiving in some way, shape, or form, whether it's extended family or whoever that is, just the impact on the future generations. And because we're seeing now that kids of physicians don't want to become physicians.
Right.
And so how do we turn that tide? And not just so that our children can become physicians necessarily, but I mean, that's what life is about, is time with family and loved ones. And if we can really, not about maximizing the efficiency of it, but how do we make sure that we're focusing our time and our energy on what's most important? Because that inbox, that's not it.
No, it is not it. It is not it. We are replaceable. And any of you that have lost a doc at work to a motor vehicle accident or cancer or suicide, you know that somebody takes care of their patients the following week. We are
Yeah.
so replaceable at work, but who's going to read that bedtime story?
Right.
So no, our time is incredibly precious. And sometimes we learn that lesson a little too late. And
Yeah.
so that's why we remind each other of that. And when we see each other doing things we shouldn't be doing, we say, hey, maybe you could delay that a year or two, because I bet that problem will still be here in 2 years.
Yeah.
But little Susie is only going to be in sixth grade once. So enjoy that dance recital now, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And again, you're creating the space where we give each other those permission slips and we can see our colleagues that are setting the boundaries, and that it's scary at first, but the payoff is huge and we have each other to lean on.
Hmm.
I was pretty intentional about that this past year with my daughter as a senior in high school. I really wanted to be as present for her as I could. And there were so many lasts. And
Yeah.
so I had to make decisions about things I was going to do either personally or professionally so that I could be there for her. And it's interesting. Once I it was kind of like I made the decision once and then I didn't have to keep making it again.
I love
So
that.
yeah, so I'm trying to do that more in life. It's I'm just gonna make the decision once and I don't, I don't have to keep
I
going
love
back
it.
to it.
Yeah. No, you come up with your rules, you come up with your filters. And
Right.
like with Dina and I, when the last time we ran a conference, we knew that, there's a million decisions that have to be made constantly. Like I said, always, always, always. And we said, does it bring joy? And do we have alignment? We both say yes. And if it brings joy and we both say yes, then it's easy.
Hmm.
And if it doesn't bring joy, or one of us is like, then it's a no. And it made decision making so much faster and easier. We're like, okay, that's a no. All right, next
Yeah.
question. So
Yeah.
whatever filters, set your filters now. I love that. Love that. For your whole life, you're allowed to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what are you most excited about coming up?
Oh, yeah, great question. I am excited to continue to expand coaching at UT Southwestern. And UT Southwestern is the only university that I know of that has an ICF accredited coaching program. And so I think they have over 50 of their physicians trained in it. And so, being that I'm renewing my ACC literally today, turning in my mentoring hours and things like that, that I'm going to continue to be part of that to expand that so that we can make coaching truly accessible for everyone, whether you're a trainee or whether you're joining the division and you get assigned a coach, or however. There's like a million pilot projects going on. So I'm excited to continue to collect data around these things, continue to preach it to the world, and to normalize it for academia and all institutions, that it should be available. And then just to continue what we've already started and to normalize it so we don't have to explain it as much. What is coaching again? I know Tiger Woods has we go through this, but now it's becoming, oh yeah, I've heard something about it. Tell me more, instead of what? And, when we always laugh that that's what I did to Dina the first time I met her and she told me she was a coach. I did that to her 12 years ago. What? And here I am, a coach. So you just never know. People are in different places in their journey. So I'm excited to continue to see it at this point in my life and in my career. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I love that too. You said a couple times normalizing it, and I love seeing that that's going on. That it used to be coaching was for like the problem children, or if you were working with a coach, it's because you were delinquent on something. And that's not certainly I don't feel like that's ever been the case, and that's certainly not the case anymore. And I'm
Mhm.
seeing the stigma from that really dropping, and people are much more coaching curious and seeing it help their colleagues and seeing the impact that it's made. And again, the more we can get evidence, I mean, we're scientists, right? We love evidence. So the more we can have evidence on it, then the easier that will be.
Exactly. And what are you excited about for the next year, Laura?
Oh my gosh. Continuing to grow the business and expand my own personal brands and continuing to coach and just explore how I can have as much impact as possible. I really feel like it's a win-win-win when physicians work with coaches. I mean, as coaches, we get to do what we love, and the impact on the physicians is tremendous. The organizations benefit, the patients benefit, their families. I mean, just the ripple effect. Sometimes when I stop and think about the ripple effect that coaching has, and we just talked about their being present with their families. I mean, we're building core memories with young children, and what could be more beautiful than that?
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. And at the Joy and Wholeness Summit, that reminds me of the highlight from the meeting was one of the gals came up to me and said, "Oh, Dawn, you're here again. I heard you." And she's like, "Tammy, get over here. This is why I do what I do." And I'm like, "What? Tell me more." She said, "I got your blueprint of how to run a women leaders in medicine meeting. It's 18 pages with sample budgets and board of directors and sample agendas and all the survey questions like these. And it's already packaged for you. It's just plug and play." She's like, "So I did. I downloaded it, and now I put together 5 of them." And I'm like, "Great. How many women have we impacted?" She's like, "Yeah, I guess about 30 to 50 each time." I'm like, "Yes, this is the whole point. Get it out to every institution, every group practice." And she's a PhD. She's not even MD or DO. And so we can all do this. And I have several of the nurse practitioners saying, "How do I do this?" I said, "Here's the rule book. Do it. Here, take it. download it off my website of Gut Girl MD Consulting and just click the box and it's yours and run with it. I don't protect it. I want it out there for everyone to recreate it. We should have women leaders in medicine groups everywhere because women are leading.
Mhm. Yeah, we're half the population, and yes.
Yes.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much. We'll definitely share your website and how to connect with you and with our listeners and in our show notes. What else would you like to share?
Just whatever you're doing, make it count 3 times. Do it for yourself, do it for your institution, and then do it for the public. Just do a little publication, whether it's a Kevin MD article or editorial or even writing a full manuscript. Put it out there. Don't be the best kept secret. So I just want to encourage everybody to make everything count 3 times because you're already doing it anyway. So continue to be awesome, but make it count.
Yes. I love that so much. Thank you so much, Dawn. So good to talk to you. Thanks for
It's
being on our
wonderful.
show.
Yeah, thanks so much for inviting me and of not letting me get off the hook too easily when I went ahead and got married the day before last time and other things that came up. Love
No,
you, girl.
I'm just getting married this weekend. I don't think I can, yeah.
Wouldn't it be wise to pull off a podcast the day before? Anyway.
Yeah. No, I'm so happy for you. Thank you for everything that you're doing and everything that you're creating in this world.
Oh, thank you. And thanks for amplifying all that's going on in our world. It's fun and letting people peek in and see what's going on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Thanks, Dawn.
You too.
While I am a physician, the information presented in this podcast is for educational purposes only and should not be considered medical advice. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please consult with your own healthcare provider before making any significant changes to your lifestyle or routine. By listening to this podcast, you are not creating a physician-patient relationship. Thank you for listening to the Purposeful MD podcast. If you like what you hear, please rate and review the show. Please also visit my website, www.thepurposefulmd.com, for free downloads or to discuss working with me as your coach.